It is a delight for me to be here, first of all, to welcome those who are here and those to come, and at the same time to ask God's blessings as we go through this health fair. This health fair has been organized by the St. Ambrose Anglican Church Health Committee, which is mainly made up of Dr. Carol Jacobs and Heather Aymes, and it is supported by Barbados Moves. There's quite a number of organizations that are involved, which Heather will speak to in a while. Why this health fair? We as a church believe that God is not only interested in the well-being of our souls, but that God is also interested in the well-being of our bodies. And as a church, we must not only preach salvation, but we must also preach healthy lifestyle. And so we thought that it was necessary and important to have this health fair as part of our mission and ministry as church. It is not going to be the only health fair that we're going to have, because it is something that will be ongoing as part of our mission and ministry at St. Ambrose. And of course, we will also be inviting various organizations to come to the church and to make presentations to us. Of course, we would have had the Alzheimer's Association at church with us already. We would have had the Diabetes Association with us, and we're looking forward to having others like the mental health and on the others coming to church and making presentations for us as we look at holistic ministry when it comes to the well-being of our people. And so let's ask God's blessings on this health fair. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, the giver of life and health and strength, we come before you asking your blessing upon all those who are here in this health fair, those who are doing talks, doing the checks, the tests. We pray a blessing upon them. Those who would be coming to check their various pressure and things like that. We pray that your Holy Spirit will touch them, anoint them, that their faith will go along with the healing process as they go forth in their lives. And so the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon this health fair, upon each and every one of us this day, and remain with us always. Amen. Amen. And so I turn you over to Heather, who is part of the organizing committee, who will say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Clive. Good morning, all. As Father Clive said, well, I don't know if he said that, but St. Ambrose, we have had health fairs in this area before. The last one being in 2006, a long time ago. So we're hoping that this is the first of many to come. Okay? My task, I guess, is just to thank the people who agreed to make presentations here this morning. The Alzheimer's Association, mental health nurses, my friends from St. Paul, the nurses, Marcia, Claudette, who always help us with, whenever I call, they answer my call. Thank you very much. The Family Plan Association, we have the CEO of the Family Plan Association up this morning, and we thank him for taking the time out to be here with us. We also have the Diabetes Association mobile unit. Unfortunately, the unit could not get onto the court, so we can see the unit, but we cannot actually use it, but the personnel are here doing tests. We do blood sugars, cholesterol, and pressures, and we also do a bit of counseling. We have a schedule of events, presentations, but as we go along, we tell you when they're going to come up, because you're not going to follow the schedule as we would have liked. So I think we'll start off with the mental health nurses. We have nurse Leacock and Barbados, and they're going to make a presentation for us. So as we go on, you'll know who is coming next or what is happening. Thank you.
Hi, morning, Kathy. What is it that we have here today on the table? Tell me something.
Good morning. Okay, well, these are products here this blue, and the brand is very sweet, which is my brand. They are both hair and body products as well. They use all natural ingredients as you can see here, like rosemary, basil, hibiscus, just to name a few of them. Over here, this is the hibiscus and lavender. This is the hydrating hair and body mist. This is used for both hair and body. Shea butter here, this is wet. It's not just the regular shea butter, it is wet. It is used for hair and it's also used for body. Carrot and garlic oil here. This is used for a hot oil treatment. So you just put it in your hair after shampooing, leave it for 10 minutes and you rinse. It says carrot and garlic, but it has no smell of carrot and garlic when you rinse, knowing that it has a very strong smell. Okay, this is the healthy scalp. This one includes products like lemongrass, ginger, basil, flaxseed, castor oil, and coconut oil. Alright, most of the products here, the base oils are coconut oil. This one here, this is the healthy hair growth oil. This is used with the same peppermint here and the same rosemary plant you're seeing here. Grown locally. I grow this at home and this is in this product. Okay? And these are samples that I will be giving away today. And these are free of cost, of course. You can also take a card. I do braiding as well. Yeah, I do braiding as well. So you can find me on Instagram or you can find me on Facebook. All the latest styles, box braids, full locks, crochet braids, anything you want to have, you can find me on Facebook and have your service.
So I'm going to be talking about the impact of mental health and physical health on each other. So a clear distinction is often made between mind and body, but when one considers mental health and physical health, the two should not be thought of as separate. Poor physical health can lead to an increased risk of developing mental health issues, and similarly, poor mental health can negatively impact on physical health, leading to an increased risk of developing some mental health conditions. There is an increasing call on healthcare professionals to consider psychological well-being when treating the physical symptoms of a condition and vice versa. Now, the World Health Organization defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. The World Health Organization also states that there is no health without mental health. Mental health is not simply the absence of a detectable mental disease, but a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own potential, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to contribute to his or her community. Being diagnosed with a chronic disease means having to adjust to the demands of that illness and the therapy used to treat the condition. There may be additional stressors since chronic illnesses might change the way you live, the way you view yourself, and the way you relate to others. Most chronic illnesses can generally be controlled, but they cannot be completely cured. Some chronic illnesses can be immediately life-threatening, such as heart attacks and strokes. Others linger over time and need intensive management, such as diabetes. And most chronic illnesses persist throughout a person's life, but are not always the cause of death. Chronic illnesses and their treatments pose specific problems since the individual needs to live with the physical effects of the illness. They need to deal with the treatments. They need to make sure there's a clear communication with their healthcare providers. They need to maintain emotional balance to cope with negative feelings, and they need to maintain confidence and a positive self-image. As I go along, and there's anything you need clarified, or you have any? That's me, that's not me. Oh, and you need any questions answered, please feel free to do so. So as well as needing to find ways to deal with the stress involved with any given chronic illness, the individual also needs to Understand the condition, know the treatment options, maintain trust and confidence in their healthcare practitioners, especially when recovery isn't possible. They need to know the best way to control the symptoms. They need to maintain social relationships when faced with an uncertain medical future or when symptoms arrive. They need to avoid social isolation. Dealing with the stressors of chronic illness can be demanding and therefore places extra mental strain on the individual. Now, comorbidity, this is defined as the simultaneous occurrence in an individual of two or more disorders and is a topic of considerable and growing interest in the context of healthcare. Research indicates that a number of mental health disorders, things like depression, anxiety, and substance misuse, occur in people suffering from both non-communicable and communicable diseases more often than those who present with neither. Comorbidity results in lower adherence to medical treatment, an increase in disability and mortality, and higher healthcare costs. However, comorbid mental disorders are often unrecognized and not always effectively treated. There is therefore a need for increased awareness and understanding, as well as a comprehensive, integrated management to alleviate the burden caused by comorbid mental disorders on the individual, society, and the healthcare services. Persons suffering from chronic physical conditions have a greater probability of developing mental disorders such as depression. Persons with comorbid depression are less likely to adhere to medical treatments or recommendations and are at greater risk of disability and mortality. While the prevalence of major depression in the general population can go from an average of 3% up to 10%, it is consistently higher in people affected by chronic illnesses. So how does mental health affect physical health? People living with mental illnesses often face higher rates of poverty, unemployment, lack of stable housing, and social isolation. These social factors increase the vulnerability of developing chronic physical conditions. For example, persons who are unable to afford healthier food options often experience nutritional deficiencies. Poor nutrition is a significant risk factor for the development of heart disease and diabetes. People with the highest levels of self-rated distress were 32% more likely to have died from cancer. And of course, these are stats that would have been adopted from the North American area because we really don't have any stats here for ourselves. Depression has been found to be associated with an increased risk of coronary heart disease. Some antipsychotic medications have been shown to significantly impact weight gain, thus predisposing to obesity, which in turn may lead to diabetes. Persons with mental illnesses also experience many of the other risk factors for diabetes, such as obesity and high cholesterol levels. Some chronic physical conditions can cause the high blood sugar levels and disrupt the circulation of blood, which can impact brain function. People living with chronic physical conditions often experience emotional stress and chronic pain, which are both associated with the development of depression and anxiety. Schizophrenia, which is a mental health issue, is associated with double the risk of death from heart disease, 3 times the risk of death from respiratory disease. This is because people with mental health conditions are less likely to receive the physical health care they're entitled to. Mental health clients are statistically less likely to receive the routine checks like blood pressure, weight, and cholesterol that might detect symptoms of these physical health conditions early. They are also not likely to be offered help to give up smoking, to reduce alcohol consumption and make positive adjustments to their diet. Both depression and schizophrenia are risk factors for the development of type 2 diabetes due to their impact on the body's resistance to insulin. The promotion of positive mental health can often be overlooked when treating a physical condition. For example, you've got psoriasis, which is a common skin disease which is characterized by red flaky sores on the surface of the skin, but its effects go way beyond the visual signs and symptoms, impacting psychological well-being and quality of life. Approximately 1/3 of people suffering from psoriasis experience anxiety and depression. 1 in 10 admit to contemplating suicide, and 1 in 3 experience feelings of humiliation about their condition. 1 in 5 report being rejected and stigmatized as a result of their condition. Some people with the disease can feel that the GP regards psoriasis as a minor skin complaint and are dismissive of the emotional aspects, leaving many to continue unaided on the isolating and emotional journey associated with this condition. Some chronic physical conditions can cause high blood sugar levels and disrupt the circulation of blood, which can cause brain function. I think we've been there before. So if left untreated, coexisting conditions like diabetes, poor mental health, and mental illnesses can hinder self-care practices and increase your blood sugar levels and contribute to worsening mental and physical health. The biological impact of high blood sugar levels is also associated with the development of depression in persons who suffer with diabetes. In terms of heart disease and stroke, persons with serious mental illnesses often experience high blood pressure and elevated levels of stress hormones and adrenaline, which increase the heart rate. These physical changes interfere with cardiovascular function and significantly elevate the risk of developing heart disease among persons with mental illnesses. Conversely, there are significantly elevated rates of depression among people with heart disease. It is 3 times more likely that a person with heart disease will experience depression when compared to people who do not have heart problems. Depression also often occurs following a stroke. Similarly, psychological distress has been shown to slow rehabilitation from stroke and increase the risk of stroke-related death. People with serious mental illnesses have a significantly increased likelihood of developing a range of chronic respiratory conditions, including COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, chronic bronchitis, and asthma. Smoking is commonly identified as a risk factor for respiratory illnesses. Persons with mental illnesses have high smoking rates due in part to the historical acceptability of smoking in psychiatric institutions, the impact of nicotine on symptom control, and the positive social aspects of smoking. People living with chronic respiratory diseases experience significantly elevated rates of anxiety and depression. People living with cancer face a higher risk of developing depression due in part to the high level of stress, emotional upset, and changes in body image. A coexisting mental health problem can interfere with cancer treatment and remission. For example, older women with breast cancer and a diagnosis of depression were significantly less likely to receive optimal treatment. Research has consistently found a lower rate of arthritis in people with serious mental illnesses than the general population. It has been previously suggested that schizophrenia may reduce the risk of developing arthritis due to the genetics, the anti-inflammatory side of the antipsychotic medications, and more sedentary lifestyles linked to institutionalization and illness. Persons with arthritis are at significantly elevated risk of developing mood and anxiety disorders. These rates are strongest among younger age groups and is linked to experiences with frequent or chronic pain. There are some lifestyle factors that can influence the state of both your physical and mental health. We've got exercise. Physical activity in any form is a great way to keep you physically healthy as well as improving your mental well-being. Research shows that doing exercise influences the release and uptake of the feel-good chemicals called endorphins in the brain. Even a short burst of 10 minutes brisk walking increases our mental alertness, energy, and puts you in a positive mood. Physical activity means any movement of your body that uses your muscles and expends energy. It can range from tending your garden to running a marathon. Even gentle forms of exercise can simply improve your quality of life. Diet. Good nutrition is a crucial factor in influencing the way we feel. A healthy, balanced diet is one which includes healthy amounts of proteins, essential fats, complex carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and water. The food we eat can influence the development, management, and prevention of numerous mental health conditions, including depression and Alzheimer's. Smoking. Smoking has a negative impact on both the mental and physical health. Many people with mental health problems believe that smoking relieves their symptoms, but these effects are only short-term. Persons with depression are twice as likely to smoke as other persons, and persons with schizophrenia are 3 times as likely to smoke than persons who don't have the condition. So the nicotine in cigarettes interferes with the chemicals in our brains. Dopamine is a chemical which influences positive feelings and is often found to be lower in persons suffering from depression. Nicotine temporarily increases the levels of dopamine, but also switches off the brain's natural mechanism for making the chemical. In the long term, this can make a person feel as though they need more and more nicotine in order to repeat this positive sensation. So stigma. The stigma associated with mental illness can also continues to be a barrier to the diagnosis and treatment of chronic physical conditions in people with mental health illnesses. Stigma acts as a barrier in many ways. It can directly prevent people from accessing healthcare services, since negative past experiences can prevent them from seeking the health care out of fear of discrimination. Furthermore, stigma can lead to a misdiagnosis of physical ailments as being psychologically based. This diagnostic overshadowing occurs frequently and can result in serious physical symptoms being either ignored or downplayed. Diagnostic overshadowing can also mask psychiatric complaints, particularly for the development of mild to moderate mental illnesses. Short appointment times are often not sufficient to discuss mental or emotional health for people with complex chronic health needs. Mental illnesses and chronic physical conditions share many symptoms such as fatigue, which can prevent recognition of coexisting conditions. Consumers have argued that even if physical symptoms such as pain are manifestations of psychological distress, people should still be treated for their physical complaints. Stress. Mental illness is commonly connected to stress and anxiety. Before a person receives treatment for a mental illness, he or she often experiences stress due to the strange behavior caused by the symptoms of the illness. Symptoms can cause behavior change that initiate feelings of guilt, shame, and depression. Understanding the connection between stress and mental illness is important, but isn't always easy to separate the symptoms. Stressors in our lives are not invariably bad. Once a stressor is brief and not traumatic, our physiological state returns to normal quickly. So who experiences stress? Anyone can be affected by stress, but the extent to which we experience stress depends on our personality makeup and is therefore partly self-imposed. The perceived, more so than the absolute, qualities of a stressor determine its potential impact. Some modern-day stressors are the pressures of deadlines, the irritation of noise, the frustrations of traffic jams, and the struggles of poverty. Whether you have control or don't have control over the situation that is causing you distress, you can have control over your reaction to the situation. In other words, you can control how stressed you become. Stress has been found to play a role in so many diseases of modern life that it has been assessed as accounting for more than half of the country's healthcare-related expenses. Hence, prevention seems to hold the key. The levels of bad stress which persons are exposed to needs to be reduced and are better managed. So here are some steps to build a personal resilience to stress. Understand that change is synonymous with being alive. In times of crisis, be decisive in your thoughts and actions. Learn from your experiences and from those of others. Do not view stressors as being insurmountable occurrences. Respect your decisions and take responsibility for them. Engage in an array of enjoyable health-promoting activities. Strive to develop a positive self-concept and to be confident. So in conclusion, good mental health and good physical health are fundamental to the well-being of individuals, their families, and the wider community. Poor mental health and poor physical health are often comorbid. Poor health of any kind is very costly. Mental and physical health is fundamentally linked. There are multiple associations between mental health and chronic physical conditions that significantly impact people's quality of life, demands on health care and other publicly funded services, and generate consequences to society. So here are some points to remember. Poor mental health is a risk factor for chronic physical conditions. People with serious mental health conditions are at risk of experiencing chronic physical conditions. People with chronic physical conditions are at risk of developing poor mental health. Understanding the links between mind and body is the first step in developing strategies to reduce the incidence of coexisting conditions and support those already living with mental health illnesses and chronic physical conditions. So remember also that either one will have an effect on the other. That is, poor physical health can lead to poor mental health and the other way around. Just as good physical health can improve your state of mind, a strong and healthy mind can greatly improve your ability to cope with physical ailments. The mind and body are all part of what makes us who and what we are, and therefore cannot be separated in terms of health. Thank you.
Thank you.
She says sometimes she feels, I don't know if depressed is the word, but down and unhappy for no apparent reason. Is that the beginning of depression or some mental problem? You know, you may get up one day, you just feel as though you don't want to get up in bed or something. Is that the beginning or what? mental problem?
Not necessarily, because I think each and every one of us at some point in time feel that way. But it is when these things go on for a lengthy time, when it starts to affect your physical, you're not attending to your physical hygiene, you're not going to work, things like that. It's when it becomes extreme that it's cause for concern. If it goes on a few hours a day, I don't feel like getting out my bed. Right. Right. But, if it persists, that is where you should seek help.
Thank you. Any more questions? I would like to ask you for email. All right, thank you again, Mellanese and Roger. Thanks very much for your presentation. I'm sorry that the PowerPoint, you cannot see the screen actually, it was too much light. So, thanks again.
We are located on the corner of Gay Street and Jamet's Lane. We were known for planning methods, but we become your everyday community clinic. I mean, how many people know that the Barbados Financial Association has a surgical suite?
I did it.
Say that again? A surgical suite. Very few people. Hello Mary, how are you? Come join us. And we run many clinics. We run, we start with the more people that are here. We run an antenatal clinic. For young people, you have your baby, you want to go through the process, knowing what's going on. You run that once weekly, up until the last 2 months before you're going to transfer to the hospital or to a private clinic. And what I also want to add is that we're the cheapest private provider. We have the highest quality service providers, and we try to be a bit more timelier than the public sector, and we're significantly cheaper than the private sector. So that's the reason to consider us. Additionally, the other services that we do a men's clinic on Wednesdays. And my original presentation was a male-related issue. But what we find is that men need a separate space in which they feel comfortable for many reasons. As well as the time seems to be more conducive to men coming between the period 4 to 7. And we call it a total quality care men's clinic. It deals with the prostate cancer, which is a big concern for us, as in it's the leading killer of Caribbean men outside of heart disease. And then we also offer advice on diet needs, general health and wellness. So that's one of the other things we offer. We offer, we're most known for, we offer a clinic that provides services to women. Our women's clinic, which is our biggest customers. We're known for having pap smear screening, which is advised to happen every 3 years if you have a normal pap smear. But we usually advise our clients, it's probably a good check trying to do it one. We're not forcing them, but if you feel like that you just to be comfortable, do it every year, but it's not recommended medically. We offer general health in terms of women as well, in terms of guidance of their, I know polycystic ovarian syndrome. We have a large Barbadian female population who's at risk for that, and it's something that we're investigating. A lot of women are not comfortable sharing it, but and let me say myself, was enlightened 3 years ago with the formation of the Barbados Association of Endometriosis and Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, the suffrage of women with regards to these things that only affect them. And we are trying to make accommodation for that. What else we do? We have a youth group, youth advocacy movement. Young women and men who are focused on spreading the word of sexual and reproductive health, especially when it comes to good sexual practices, good developmental practices, and they're doing some great work. In fact, I'm proud enough to say that we old started people don't go to the schools. The younger people who are all under 24 spend their free time educating young persons on the do's and don'ts of sexual health and good behaviors. And I'm very proud of that. In fact, that young group received an international award for empowerment of young people in decision making. So those are some of the things that we offer. Additionally, what do we do? I can say we also are a gateway to having many of the blood and other tests done for a bit more tiny and for a little cheaper than some other places. So therefore, it's a great stop. And we don't want to discourage seeking medical or any sort of assistance. So you can come if you want some advice, come and ask a question on anything, and we're willing to freely give our advice. And one of the concerns is that we don't like turning people away no matter if they have money or not. What else? Like I said, this is off the top of my head, so just shitting right here. What else do we do? We do a lot of community work. We look at work with a lot of disadvantaged population, and you might see some of my colleagues who work especially on this area late at night and in other communities, getting the information and the education out. I'm very proud of them because that's something that we become known for, working with those people who really need to. And we're confidential. You don't have to come. If you come, I can guarantee you, nobody would know what you're there for. And if that bond of confidentiality is broken, someone will be fired because they take it very seriously. And for us, we are about empowering Barbadians to make good decisions when it comes to their sexual health. We encourage, if we're going to have sex, have safe sex. Yes, we advocate for condom use, that's one of our major tenets, but we think that you should be mentally and physically prepared for the decision of having sex and all that it entails. And there's nothing perfectly wrong with not having sex at all. That's how we see it. But it's up to you, and I want you to do that responsibly. And that's why my youth manager and my youth team made themselves available for schools and community groups. And we are willing to do that at any time, as long as don't have too many, because it's actually becoming a lot. We also will do interventions into business places, community groups. We actually we're beginning to screen entire hotels for their health services and their health needs. And we're really proud of that because the staff of many workplaces seem to need these services, but the price on them is too prohibitive for the manager or the company, and we come in at a price that is conducive. We're not about making profit. We're about existing year to year to impact the lives of people that we generally serve. Prepare for any questions if anyone may have any. Any? None? Well.
What days do you have clinics concerned?
Oh, thank you. We're open 6 days a week, Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. I just really say 7:30 because the clinic is open so that clients can be up in there by the time the doctor comes, that we can move a bit more swiftly. And on Saturdays, we're open 8 to 1, which is one of our busy clinics because I always tell people to try to get there early, 8 to 1. Yes, we do walk-ins. Yes, appointments are available, but we still have this system of people coming in for walk-ins, a large amount still. And people tend to be for emergencies of special needs. So some days are better than others. I always tell people to come early and see when we're there, but appointments, we're going in that direction. So yeah, and I said 8 to 1, but we usually work 7 days a week. But like I said, community talk, if you want to know how to reach or whatever, one of my staff members will be available. And we deal with all tough issues. We deal with sex in schools, we deal with violence, all those stuff issues we're ready to have conversations on because we need to have that impact. And it would be remiss of me not to advocate for something that I feel strongly about, having an audience to speak about it. Every time I get a chance, I speak about it. So there's this issue of paternity leave. And I want to endorse Barbadian families, men and women, to support this idea of paternity leave. It's not about the man having a day off. It's really about having the man being in a position that he can support his spouse while she's going through pregnancy. And we believe that if more men were available, and more responsible men, let me stress that, responsible men were available. I think responsibility is very important prerequisite to having paternity leave. That our children would have more time with their fathers, and research shows that the more available a father is to his family, the children and the wife, the better off the marriage and the family is. So I want to endorse that you all take that display because it makes our society a better society. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I just had to come here to personally thank Mr. Langdon because I called family planning and asked if we could get a volunteer. And the chief operating officer told me she would work on that. And they would deliver their handouts, which they did. And to my surprise and delight, she told me that the volunteer was none other than the CEO, Mr. Langdon. So thank you very much, Mr. Langdon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Dr. Jacobs.
Please, not next to the
Oh, right. No problem. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. This is a significant event that we are having in the community that St. Ambrose is looking to engage the community here within Bridgetown. As I just said, I'm the chair of the National Task Force on Wellness for the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And when we speak about wellness, we want to make persons know what it is to make healthier choices, make wellness choices. And there are actually 9 dimensions of wellness. So we have our physical, so at some point perhaps we'll do the line dancing or some form of physical activity. And that also includes nutrition, stress management, sleep. You need to get your sleep as well. And then we have spiritual wellness, life choices, church, purpose and value. We have environmental wellness, we have creative wellness, intellectual, emotional, and mental health. So that's very, very important. I understand the mental health professionals would have delivered a talk earlier this morning, and that's very important as well. And then we have social wellness. As we come together as a family, as we come together as a group, and fellowship, that's important as well. We have financial wellness, and we have the Republic Bank being one of the partners here. And then we have the last one will be, which one is it? Creative, yes. So that career occupational. So that's all about how you relate to your workplace. So that's a little plug in terms of letting you know about wellness, and this is very important. Of course, the sexual health, of course, your nutrition, skincare and beauty, all that's very important as we go about our day to day. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Heather, and do have a wonderful day. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm very happy to be here because any opportunity I get to speak on dementia, I grab it. The reason is because dementia has now become an epidemic worldwide, and I think more and more people need to understand what it's about, how to care for their elderly and friends and loved ones. I don't know if you're aware that there are 50 million people in the world who are suffering from dementia. Barbados, we have an estimate of over 4,000 people suffering from dementia. And those numbers are going to be much larger by 2050. You're going to have 131.5 people worldwide with dementia. Dementia is known as type 3 diabetes. And just let you know that there's a connection there. I'm often asked, Ms. Bereton, what is dementia? Will I get dementia? Will my children get dementia? What can we do? How can we care for my mom? I can't get my mom or my dad to bathe. I cannot get my mom or my dad to take the medication, and so on and so on. I go into a number of homes on a weekly basis, at least 4 homes in a week. And sometimes I go and I leave in tears. The reason is because persons that are caring for mom or dad, they do not have the understanding of what they're caring for. My main concern is when I walk into a home and I see a family of 4, and one person is taking on the role as the caregiver, while the others are not interested. Of course, you know when they will come back, when the person's dead. And you know the reason why they would come back, or why they would get involved then. But with dementia being an epidemic, I'm also seeing a number of persons in their 40s with dementia. You've heard that persons who are well educated have the least chance of coming down with dementia, but that's not the truth. I see a lot of persons who are doctors, lawyers, engineers, politicians, you name it. They're all coming down with dementia. As I said earlier, it's worldwide, and we are no exception. I'll give you the warning signs. Memory changes that disrupt your life, your daily life. Challenging in planning and solving problems. Difficulty completing familiar tasks at home, at work, or at leisure. Confusion with time and place. Trouble understanding visual and spatial relationships. New problems with words in speaking or writing. Misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace your steps. Decrease in poor judgment, withdrawal from work or social activities, changes in mood and personality, memory changes that disrupt your daily life, challenges in planning or solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks at home or work, confusion with the time and place, trouble understanding individual and spatial relationships, as I said before, and I went over a few for a reason. Now, persons that are suffering with dementia often are misunderstood a lot, and this is why we have a lot of problems with home, because communication is a big problem. If you have dementia, you're not able to express yourself to your caregiver. The caregiver usually becomes more agitated than the person who has the dementia. And this is why we get a lot of family fights and so on among them and other family members. I suggest that if you're having those problems, you get in touch with the Alzheimer's Association so that we can come in and sit down and discuss with you the best ways of going about getting these tasks done. In other words, persons that are not eating, we usually jump to the conclusion, oh, they're dying anyway. But a lot of times people that are not trained or understand what is going on do not have the ability or the idea of saying, let me check and see if mom's teeth are okay. Let me check and see if mom has sores in her mouth. Things like this. These are the reasons why they do not eat, or sometimes they cannot swallow. And that is because the brain, again, is not talking to you. How often do you know? How do you know you want to go to the bathroom? It's the brain that talks to you. We do not take care of our brain. We need to start taking care of our brain as well. All right, by eating properly, the right foods, and by the way, the mackerel that you buy for the dogs, start eating that as well, because it's an oily fish, and oily fish is recommended for the brain. Salmon is absolutely wonderful, but I know it's expensive, so eat your sardines. That's an oily fish as well. Try to eat as much seafood as possible. In terms of other things that you should be eating, walnuts, blueberries, all of those wonderful things. All the fruits are good for you, as a matter of fact. Exercise is important, not just physically, but mentally as well. You need to challenge your brain. If you're used to brushing your hair with your right hand, try using the left hand. All of these are things that you need to do to make your brain stronger and keep yourself more active. Right now, this is a social activity. I know we all go to church. I know we all go dancing. I know we all do all those things, and I think we should continue doing them and keep the elderly involved as well. Do not hide your granny or your mommy in the room when your friends are coming to visit, and I know situations like that because you become ashamed. It's a sad story, but I don't want to go any further with it. But these are things that you shouldn't do. What I would like to do this morning, instead of continue talking, if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer. Because I find when you're talking at the health fair, most people, the interest is elsewhere, and they're not really hearing everything you're saying. So I would like you to interact, ask me a question, anything, and I'll be happy to answer it. Anybody? I don't mean to scare you with the disease. A lot of times people walk away because they're afraid. But if anybody has a question, I'll be happy to answer. Anybody?
Yes, I'll ask one. I'd like to know if you have an elderly person who keeps saying, I'm getting forgetful, should you,
If you have an elderly person who says repeatedly that he or she is getting forgetful, and you know that, you see the signs, I wonder at what stage do you mention the word dementia for Alzheimer's, or do you just keep encouraging, yes, I recognize you're getting forgetful. Do you leave it at that level, or do you take it to a higher stage?
Well, you should take it to a higher stage, but what is interesting is that the person accepts the fact and know that they're getting forgetful. So first you need to get to a doctor as fast as possible to be diagnosed. Because a lot of times, forgetfulness does not necessarily mean it's Alzheimer's. There are a lot of other things that can cause forgetfulness. Okay? What was the other part of the question?
No, it was just whether you mentioned the word Alzheimer's or dementia to the person, or does that put them at a different state?
Now, dementia and Alzheimer's is all the same. Dementia is a term used to describe a whole group of other illnesses, okay? And it isn't Alzheimer's. The name Alzheimer's came from the doctor who discovered the disease back in 1906 in a female who was in her 50s. And by the way, more females get dementia than males. And by the way, I find that the men that I come in contact with that are caring for their wives are doing an absolutely fantastic job. And you know the reason for that? It's because they know their wives. They know what their wives like. And a lot of times that is the problem. Because if you do not know the person you're caring for, you're not going to be able to help care for them. For instance, I talked earlier about food and so on. If someone is used to having their meals served to them in a certain way, and then all of a sudden the caregiver come in, and then they start serving the meal in a different way, the person's not going to eat it because it's not presented in the way in which they used to. All right? Also, in your homes, you need to make sure that you make changes in your house, not just for the person with dementia, but for yourself as well. You need to start modifying the house by putting in handrails, getting rid of all the scattered rugs, color coding the stairs for the person with dementia so that they will see where they have to go. For yourself as well, because sometimes even though we don't have dementia, we might still trip and fall. And as you know, as you get older and you fall, that might be the end of you. So these are all the things you need to do to safeguard the home of the elderly. And then there's the other side of the dementia too. Dementia people are the ones who get more abuse than persons who are, let's say, just elderly and suffering from old age. The pension checks, the calls I get sometimes, people taking advantage of them. Oh my goodness, I can stand here and tell you about this for hours and hours, but I don't have hours and hours. But these are the things that we need to be looking for with our persons who are suffering with dementia. One of the things I would like to mention is that I would like to see a lot more volunteering in Barbados, because I think we're going to need it, because as dementia becomes more and more, we're going to need a lot more people to get involved. We are offering a volunteer program where we're going to try to train persons who are at home to look after mommy and daddy, as well as I'm hoping that once we train those people, they'll be allowed to go into the various institutions to assist with people that are suffering with dementia, since they're the ones that often get neglected because of lack of understanding with whoever is caring for them. All right? So on that note, I'm going to stop. If you have any more questions, please call me at the office, and I'll be happy to explain to you. So thank you for listening.
Right, so as I was saying, so only a couple months ago I would have wrote in the Better Health magazine about brain food and nutrition, because they go hand in hand to protect you from Alzheimer's, from dementia, and just general forgetfulness. At some point, all of us would have forgotten when we would have entered the room and we went for So things like salmon, tuna, mackerel, those will be healthy food to encourage you to, to really reduce your risk of dementia and other brain issues. But today we really want to focus on nutrition for the entire family, focusing on children, teenagers, and adults as well. And what I like to say is that regardless of your age, everybody really should be eating the same. So I realize in a lot of Barbadian households that they're cooking one or two different pots. So they have somebody's eating healthier, and then they're cooking fried foods for children and so forth. We should really be cooking from one pot. Alright, so today I just want to talk about the importance of healthy eating. I want to introduce the components of my plate and talk about setting smart goals. Because often we lead house fairs and we gain a lot of information, but then we can't incorporate it into our life. It's about setting your own goal. If not, it doesn't mean anything. Eating healthy for everybody allows you to grow healthy, prevent you from disease. If you have any other conditions like diabetes, high cholesterol, you're able to manage these things better. So things like having a high fiber diet, high increased vegetables and fruits, you're able to manage your cholesterol better, manage your blood sugar better, and even reduce your blood pressure levels if that might be an issue. Okay, so I'm just going to jump straight ahead into the My Plate. Has anybody ever heard of it? The Healthy My Plate method. Anybody? Can you talk to me about it? Okay, so she's talking about the portion that you're supposed to eat. Anybody can add anything else? The My Plate method. Okay, so the Healthy My Plate method is a way to teach you about eating healthy for the entire family. It starts with a 9-inch plate, and then I don't have one right now with me. Just a little bit smaller than this. Right? Yeah, a lunch plate, a dinner plate, but 9 inches. A lot of people, they eat from platters. Yeah, if you don't want platters, you want a dinner plate, a 9-inch plate. And half of our plate, we want it to be vegetables. What kind of vegetables do you think I'm talking about? Anything. Carrots, beans, lettuce, Christophine, those types of things. Low carbohydrate or low starch type food. Broccoli, correct. Right, we don't want things that are plantain or cassava counted as our vegetable. The other part would be our protein, lean protein. So fish, mackerel, tuna, chicken without the skin, chicken breast preferred, and those types of things. And then we have whole grains. And these are, we try to say brown where possible. So whole grain pasta, whole brown rice, cassava, sweet potatoes, those types of things that will be high fiber type foods. So this is a great graphic. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it shows you half the plate. Half the plate is vegetables, a quarter of the plate is whole grains, and then the other quarter is healthy protein. So this would include also beans and peas as well. And then obviously water, right? Obviously? Good. So this just goes through again the types of vegetables. So things like salad, cabbage, lettuce, tomatoes, carrots, onions, broccoli on half of our plate. And one thing that I like to say is to use your hands. You can see his hands? Everybody can do that for me? Right, that amount of vegetables on your plate. Yes, this amount of whole grains. Okay? So if you're having a child, this size. If it might be for you or your other woman, this size. And if you're a man, your hand might be a little bit bigger, so your size fits. Okay? And then for our protein, inside the pan of your protein. So this will be your chicken, your fish, any other type of protein that you are having. And it should be as thick as your little finger. Okay? Why the laughter? Does it sound possible? Good. Right, okay, and so the protein should be fish, chicken, or beans, and I like to encourage beans. So if you are like any other Bajan, adding peas to your rice, that is encouraged because it's very, very high fiber type food that can help manage your cholesterol, manage your blood pressure as well, and your blood sugar. Yeah. And then to the starch, which is often the big issue. So things like your rice, cassava, breadfruit. Remember when he said the fist? You want it as big as your fist. Not a fistful of breadfruit, and then a fistful of cassava, and then a fistful of macaroni. One fist of your carbs or your starch. Okay? So again, this is a picture. Half the plate is a tall salad. And then quarter or fistful is brown rice. And the other quarter is a panful of chicken breast, grilled chicken breast. And then water again. Another example, they have an idea of some vegetables, some okras, beans, spinach, broccoli on the side. Again, chicken breast grilled, quarter starch with peas, and then salad. Okay, so now I want to talk about sometimes foods and always foods. Sometimes foods are foods that we want to not encourage. They really and truly are, as they are sometimes foods, not everyday food. And then there are always foods that we want to eat every single day. And these types of foods are high fiber foods. Again, they help manage your conditions and prevent them. Sometimes foods will look like chips, dessert, sodas, drinks, mobbies, those types of things that we do not want to be having every single day because they're very high calorie, really high sugar. And And then for chips, there will also be high sodium things. So those are sometimes foods. And then we have always foods. And these are things we want to be having every single day. Things like our fruits and vegetables. So choose to snack on your apples, your bananas, your strawberries, those types of things during your snack time instead of chips or anything like that. Okay? So some examples of some always foods we should be having every single day would be things like yogurt, fresh and dried fruits, granola, homemade chips. And I want to pause on homemade chips, especially if you have children or grandchildren, or even for yourself. Instead of buying packaged chips, you can buy some sweet potatoes, some yams, cassava, and slice it up very, very thinly. Put it on a baking pan, put some olive oil and drizzle some little salt on it, and bake it for about 20 to 30 minutes or until you prefer, and bag it. Put it in a resealable bag, and as you're feeling picky, choose to have that. Okay? Instead of the plantain chips that you purchase, because they will be high salt as well. Whereas if you do it at home, you can control the amount of salt in it and the amount of fat in it. And then carrot sticks and cucumber is always a great snack option. So sometimes foods now, tips to control them. If you're having a cupcake or sweet bread or muffin or even a cookie, share it. Don't eat the entire thing. Share it with a friend, share it with your children or your grandchildren instead of having the entire thing. If you are having a chocolate bar, I always like to say choose the dark chocolate because like the lady would say, brain food. Chocolate is very, very having so many antioxidants that can help with your brain. Choose dark chocolate and just have 2 or 3 bites of it. And the amazing thing with chocolate as well is that it is an appetite suppressant, so it's going to stop you from wanting to eat so much. And even with just 2 bites of it, just a break of it, you're going to be good. Alright, and then for those very rare occasions when you do eat fast food, try not to upsize. Try to have the smallest fry that you can have, the smallest piece. Still choose the breast where possible, and even take off the skin. So overall, we want to avoid snacks that are too salty, too fatty, too sweet, and too fake. Can anybody repeat them for me? There are 4 of them. We're avoiding snacks that are too salty, too fatty, too fake, and there's one more. Too fake, yeah. Fatty. And then to set goals now,
I want to talk about setting SMART goals. I talked about setting very, very specific type goals for your personal, for yourself. Because I can set a goal based on what I have access to, what my budget looks like, what my day looks like. But my goals will be completely different to what yours look like. So for example, if you're trying to drink more water every single day, rather than saying, oh, I'm going to drink more water, set a time. I'm going to drink water 3 times a week at lunchtime. I'm going to drink water with all of my meals. If you're trying to eat more fruit, say I am going to have fruit at lunch every single day. I'm going to have fruit between lunch and dinner for 3 days a week. If you're trying to incorporate more high fiber type food, say for breakfast 3 days a week I'm going to have oats, or in all of my shakes I am going to add some type of oats in my smoothies. So that is really it in a nutshell. Anybody have any questions for me? Any nutrition related questions? Everybody understands the snacks we're supposed to avoid and what the healthy plate looks like. Thank you so much.